Benvenuto. Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. Today we're going to make a dish that was passed down from my great-grandmother to my grandmother. And my grandmother used to make this for me, particularly during Lent or any time that it was a religious day and we weren't supposed to eat meat. My grandparents immigrated to the United States in the early 1900s. My grandfather's name was Natal. I should say my great-grandfather's name was Natal. My great-grandmother's name was Nunziat, and their last name was Benvenuto, which means welcome in Italian. The name of this dish is basically pasta and potatoes. My grandmother called it penne and potatoes because she always made it with penne. As I said, my grandparents immigrated from the Calabria region of Italy, which is in southern Italy, and this is some of the cheeses that they would have used making this dish. The first one is caciocavallo. This is a Calabrese cheese that is made from cow's milk. Now, you're probably not going to be able to find this at your local supermarket. You can certainly find it online, or thankfully I have a really great Italian market that's not far from my home that I go to quite often, and I'm able to get it there. If you cannot find caciocavallo, it's very similar to provolone. So use provolone, shred the provolone. The other cheese that's important to this dish, which I don't know if it's specifically from the Calabrese, but it's Pecorino Romano. And if possible, when you're getting an Italian cheese, try to get it from Italy. This is a fantastic cheese. Of course, there's an American version of it. It's not quite the same. It is a little bit more expensive. The American version works perfectly, of course, but I wanted to keep this dish authentic, so I've tried to use that. The other things we're going to need is we're going to need about 1.5 pounds of potatoes. As you can see, I've already started to prepare this a little bit. I'm going to cut up the last one, but I do let the potatoes soak in a little bit of water for 5-10 minutes before I start to cook, because I'm actually going to use some of this nice starchy potato water for the dish. We're going to need 3 cloves of garlic, about 1/2 pound of penne pasta, about 8 ounces. We're going to need about 4 or 5 plum tomatoes. That's 5 there. We're going to need a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, a good rounded teaspoon of oregano or your favorite Italian seasoning. We're going to need sea salt for our pasta water, and some olive oil, of course, to bring it all together. Okay, let's get cooking. Okay, we have just a little bit more prep work before we get everything in the pot. I want to show you a little trick my grandmother showed me. Probably you all have known this, but whenever she was going to had garlic in a dish that wasn't going to get crushed or be incorporated into the whole dish, she would do this. No, she never seemed to have as hard a time as I do doing it, but so that way we can just throw this in our pan, and when we're done cooking, we can just take it out. All right, so then we're gonna just prepare this last potato. And I'm gonna cut it, probably somewhat thin. I don't know, maybe a quarter of an inch thick. This is gonna cook, of course, in a little bit of water, but we want it to cook as fast as possible. Okay, and then our last Roma tomato, plum tomato. It's got a little and just dice that. Okay, we're ready to move to the stove. See you there. Okay, so in a nice big heavy pan, we're going to add our olive oil. You really want a good coating on this. I would say it's probably going to be at least 1/4 of a cup. And of course that's a really nice olive oil. All right, my pan is already warm, and I'm going to add my potatoes. Of course, they're a little wet, so we're going to get a splattering. Now, we don't specifically want to fry these. We're just going to start the cooking process with them. In the pan, they're going to cook probably about 90% of the way. And at this point, we want to throw our garlic in. And right now my heat is on medium. So you can see the potatoes aren't sticking that much. That means I got enough oil in there for right now. And really what I'm doing is just trying to get them all coated with the olive oil. That looks about good. Then I'm going to take some of the nice starchy water. I've probably already mentioned this, but my measuring cups hold a fluid cup of liquid. So there's one. I had a little bit more than 1.5 pounds, so I didn't use all my potatoes. Got 2. And get them all incorporated in there. Now, at this point, I'm going to raise the heat probably to about medium-high. I'm going to bring that up to a boil. But we're also going to add our salt, pepper, and oregano at this point. And we're going to add a nice little handful of the Pecco Romano. Give that a little stir. All right, at this point, let's throw this over here. We're done with that for now. So I've already boiled my water. So my water is boiling for my pasta. Okay, so we're making about a half a pound of pasta. But again, as my grandmother used to tell me, your pasta water should taste like the ocean. So this may look like a lot of salt, but most of the salt is going to stay in the water, and we're just going to flavor our pasta. So probably a good handful, half a handful. I'm going to put that in. I'm going to bring that back up to boil before I add my pasta. And that's coming up to a boil. And now we're going to add all of our diced tomatoes in at once. Again, give it a stir. We'll add a little bit more of our Pecorino Romano. Nice and flat. Okay, our pasta water is back to a boil. And you want that at a nice rolling boil. And then, I put my salt in there. Put our pasta in. Give it a stir. You want to cook this to al dente, maybe slightly less than al dente. Al dente is kind of one of those things, I guess it depends upon each person's perception of al dente. It's probably going to take about 8 minutes to get to al dente. So, we'll see you when the pasta's done. Okay, our pasta's done. You can see how nice the sauce is thickened. And of course it's going to continue to thicken as we add more cheese to it. So I'm going to transfer my pasta from our pot into here. Now this is going to continue to cook. That's why you want to cook it just slightly less than al dente, because it is going to cook for a little bit in the oven, and you don't want soggy pasta. And like as always, I never throw out my pasta water until I'm absolutely sure I'm not going to need any of that wonderful goodness in there. So we're going to get the last one. And we'll start to stir this all together. And I am going to need a little bit more liquid in there. So I'm going to take some of our pasta water and add it in. And then we're going to start to incorporate our cheese. This is the caciocavallo, which is a nice mild cheese. As I said, it tastes very similar to provolone. So use that if you can't find the caciocavallo. And caciocavallo is quite expensive as well. handful in there. And the remainder, I'm going to get all of this nice, expensive, delicious cheese in there. Now, once you get this all incorporated, again, you're going to check, see if maybe you need a little bit more liquid, but this looks pretty good. Now I have preheated my oven to 350. You can continue this on the stovetop if you'd like. Just put a cover on it and let it cook until your potatoes are soft. I don't want to waste any of my cheese. All right, that looks like I've got enough liquid in there. So I am going to turn off the stove, and I'm going to transfer this. I'm not going to cover it. It's going to get a little bit brown, and at the end I'm going to broil it, get a nice crust on the top of it, and we'll put a little bit more cheese before I do that, but we'll come back. When we come back, I'll do that before I put it under the broiler. So I'm going to put it in the oven for 350 oven for maybe 10 minutes or so. All right, we'll see you when it's ready to get browned. Okay, 10 minutes is up. I'm going to cancel my oven, and I'm going to put the broiler on. All right, I've probably said this before, but it's a huge fear of mine. Whenever I'm taking a frying pan out of the oven, there's that handle there. You have this urge to grab it. Make sure you have an oven mitt on before you take it out or put it back in. I have done it. Believe me, you do not want to do that. All right, so that is after 10 minutes of baking. And we're going to just give the top a sprinkle with a little bit more of the pecorino romano. All right, and then we're going to put it under the broiler till it's all nice and browned. And that's probably going to take 5-10 minutes. We'll see you when it's done. Okay, it should be done. Perfect. Okay, now for the best part. We get to eat it. Of course, if you try this and you like this, you can always double the recipe. Thank you. You're welcome. You wouldn't necessarily have to double the cheese. Maybe just quarter the cheese if you're going to double it. Okay. And of course, Sheldon is poking his head in.
That's good. That's good.
Delicious.
As usual.
One more bite before we say goodbye. You can add, if you add a nice salad to this, or some nice fried sausages or something, make a complete meal. But I could eat the entire pan. Thank you so much. I hope you make this, and I hope you enjoy it. Ciao!
Bye.
Mmm.